It's still a huge deal. I like that this is where I put myself in my career, where I'm like headlining shows now, which is really cool, and I'm super grateful for that.
Nice. Another former champion as well. I mean, I don't know if maybe you look at him a little bit different because you guys know each other, but I mean, does it excite you to say, like, I'm fighting another former UFC champion?
Yeah, that's the part that excites me. Being in there with the best guys is, the way that I'm going to become the person that I want to be. And TJ is no joke, and I'm anticipating a tough fight, and I'm ready for that.
Do you look at him any differently because of your history together? When you know somebody that well, do you look at him differently than you would if you hadn't trained together?
If it was maybe a little bit closer to the time that we were training, then perhaps. But I think just because, I don't think I've talked to him since, we fought on the same card when he fought Cejudo and I fought Batista. So, it doesn't feel that strange, I don't think it will be, hard to hit him in the face or anything,
Nice. You guys were obviously supposed to do this a couple months ago when he had to bow out. Was there any thought on your part of taking another fight, or was it important for you to keep this matchup together?
Nah, this is the fight that I wanted. I know that building a name is really important in this sport. One of the main motivators behind me asking for a fight with TJ is him and Jan were kind of going back and forth a little bit, and I remember Jan saying that if he beat Sterling, then he wanted someone with some name value. So it's just about taking out anyone else's argument. That's kind of what it's always been about since I lost against Sterling. So that's what I'm going to do until I get my title shot.
For us, it's all about the question marks around, coming off the suspension, of course. Is he still the same guy? Was he doing this for a long time? Is he going to be a lesser opponent? Do you think about that stuff at all, like where he's going to be, or is that an unhealthy way for you to prepare?
That's an unhealthy way to prepare, but I will say that we'll all find out at the same time because, like you said, who knows how he is. But yeah, it would be really foolish of me to walk into a fight thinking that TJ hasn't made some improvements and that he hasn't added tools to his tool belt, and that he's not going to come in the same competitor that he's always been. But that's always the case with every fight. You go in there and you expect hell, and if you walk out of hell a little bit quicker than 15 or 25 minutes, great. But nah, man, you expect hell in there every single time.
Yeah. You talk about you got to expect that he's evolved. Does the familiarity between you two, though, does it factor in at all, or has it just been so long like you can't even think about what happened in those sessions?
I have a really terrible memory, so to be honest with you, man, it doesn't feel like I don't even really remember. You know what I'm saying? It's been a long time. If it was maybe a situation where hey, TJ just left the team 6 months ago, it would definitely feel a lot more different, because when we were training together, we were friendly training partners. That was our relationship. I wouldn't consider us friends that hung out on the weekends like I have with a lot of the other training partners that I have, but we were friendly to each other, which would, if it happened 6 months ago, it would feel different emotionally, but I don't have any emotional connection to TJ, so it will just be another fight.
Number one contender fight? I think a lot of us believe it is. Do you believe this is a number one contender fight?
I think it's definitely got to be, or at least on my end it is. That's next step. I think the timing is pretty good too. Those guys can have their fight in October, or whenever that's scheduled, and then hopefully they don't want to milk this thing too bad, because I'm going to come for that belt and I'm going to take it from whoever wins that fight, and that's how I see my next year going.
Would one of those opponents be sweeter than the other, or does it matter?
No, both would be sweet in their own way, man. I really want to get my loss back against Sterling, just because, I have an ego inside of me that doesn't want people thinking that anyone's better than me. That's kind of what we're all doing out here, is proving where we all stack up on the food chain. And it would really make me happy to have everyone know that I'm higher on the food chain than both Sterling and Jan. So proving that against Sterling would be sweet. Beating Jan, because I know people think very, very highly of Jan. And I think highly of his skills also too. But taking out a competitor like that, where people see this guy as the top dog, like I said, I have ego inside me that wants to prove that I'm the king of the jungle. That I'm the highest one on the food chain, and so both of those would be sweet wins.
Nice. Last thing for me. I mean, you win here. It does seem like you should get the title shot next, at least from my opinion. But do you feel like you've got to go do something emphatic like you have in your last fights? I mean, do you feel like you got to do something that makes a real statement, or is it just, hey, I beat the former champ. I should get that title shot.
A win's a win in my eyes. A lot of these, I think that when I get knockouts like the last couple that I've had, it's by no really doing of me other than just me playing my game and then making a mistake. That's kind of how I approach every fight. I'm going to go out there, I'm going to do what I do, and if you leave me too many openings and you make too many mistakes, then I'm going to be able to capitalize on them.
And Cory, most people think that you have the KO of the year. Do you believe that you do?
Yeah, I haven't watched every single fight though, but I'm always going to be on my side versus anyone else's side. So yeah, I got the KO of the year.
You also have one of the memes of the year, I guess, when you like gave us sad face when knocking out Frankie, and so.
Yeah, meme of the year, KO of the year. I think I'd rather KO of the year, but like I said, I want all the awards. Give me all the awards. So meme is good too.
And did you get a chance to watch the NBA Finals?
No, I was training at that time last night. So I didn't get to, but I did see that the Bucks won. I'm not, I don't really follow basketball that much anymore. I grew up doing it actually, but I don't really follow the sport too much anymore.
Thank you.
Thanks.
It's ironic that you say you don't follow basketball, because when TJ was out here, he said that he remembers you being a super freak athlete and was more like a basketballer than a fighter. Do you remember your athleticism being superior to his, or do you think it's about the same?
I think that it's kind of hard to sum up because, what do you define as an athlete? I know a lot of really strong, explosive guys that if you throw them a football and ask them to throw a football, they look like morons, So yeah, I guess it kind of depends how you define athlete. I think that I've figured out through, a lifetime of playing a lot of different kinds of sports how to operate inside of this long, gangly body. And I think TJ, having his life as an athlete also, he's kind of figured out how to operate inside of his body. And I think that that's, in my opinion, what makes an athlete a really good athlete is how well they can move themselves around, how explosive they can be, how quick they can move themselves. And I think that we kind of both have that advantage.
Good to know I'm not an athlete. Do you think TJ obviously had these 2 years out enforced? Do you think there could be an argument that it's somewhat of a silver lining for him to have to take a time off, to get those surgeries, heal up, maybe improve on his game? Do you think there's an argument that actually he could maybe benefit from this time away?
Sure. I think in almost any topic in life, if you argue good enough, you can probably argue some benefits to something that's probably negative. But I don't buy the whole, this is his time off, this is his road to recovery. That's not what this is. He was suspended, and I'm sure that he would have much rather been fighting than sitting on the bench, and that's to his own fault.
Can you sort of feel, it's not quite, I don't think it's quite hit like the mainstream as it were, but do you feel there's almost an argument that this is his redemption story and he's going to come back and redeem himself from this? Are you getting the sense that that's how he would like this to play out? I
think that's how he would love to have it play out. I think that he's putting a lot of eggs in the basket of, let me beat Cory Sandhagen so that I can prove that it wasn't because I was on steroids or whatever. I think that, that would be a Cinderella story for him. And that's likely, what he's wanting, but he has me in the way of wanting that.
Cool, thank you.
Good. See you guys.